I actually want to kick off this video simply saying thank you to those of you who watched my other video where I was explaining to you a job description for a copywriting job. And I did say if you all request in the comments to have a step-by-step walkthrough on how to literally build a resume for a copywriting role, to comment and let me know. And after I got a certain number of comments, I would go ahead and make that video. So this video is in response to that video. Thank you to each and every one of you who commented on that video requesting this video. I'm very excited to bring this to you. And we are doing this in real time. I know that by the time you watch this, obviously, this is not being done live, but for me, I have not practiced or anything, and I'll explain to you why. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Maria Lloyd. I am the owner of a marketing firm named Opens Clicks Cash, and I am also the author of a book titled Words Are Wealth. Now, I'm on a personal mission to help as many small business owners as possible reach their first six figures in business. If that mission resonates with you, I want to invite you to come along with me on this journey by simply liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and making sure that you hit that notification bell so that way you'll know when I post future content. With that being said, we are going to dive into this video where I will give you step-by-step instructions. I will show you in real time how you can write a winning resume for a copywriting job. And I actually used to work in human resources. A lot of people don't know this, but I have this very unique knack in which I'm an expert in copywriting. I've been a professional copywriter since 2004, but then also I spent several years in HR and recruitment. So guess what? I was the person that had to look at the resumes. I was the person that was interviewing people. I was the person referring people to the hiring manager. And then last but not least, I was the person that was extending offers and unfortunately resending offers. Okay, so I have a lot of knowledge and understanding when it comes to human resources. And so my copywriting skills combined with my understanding of human resources makes me a pretty powerful resource when it comes to getting a job, especially a job in the marketing industry. So we are going to dive right in. I will share my screen. And really quickly, one thing I think that is extremely important for you to know and understand is that before you apply for a job, you have to check that job description and make sure that your skill sets on your resume actually match what the requirements are for that particular role that you're pursuing. This is extremely important. Long gone are the days where you can simply copy paste a resume and use it for all types of job titles. You really do want to tailor your resume to each job post. Now, in this case, because we're applying for copywriting roles, more than likely the changes will be nominal, if at all. But if you are applying for copywriting adjacent roles, such as a marketing, a content marketer, or something of that nature, you definitely want to prepare to create multiple resumes for each job position. Also, this document that you're looking at right now is actually a template. I created this template many, many moons ago. It has helped so many people land careers, life-changing careers at that. And so if you're interested in downloading this template, as well as some of the other templates I'm going to share today, feel free to visit hrsnitch.com. Again, that website is hrsnitch.com and you can get it for $7. Okay, you really can't beat it. This is obviously not something that I'm attempting to become wealthy from. But the point is, I do want you to be invested. And I know that when you spend money, the odds of being more invested are certainly increased. So, with that being said, now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, let's look at a couple of copywriting job descriptions that I found on the internet. Now, if you're wondering where did I find these positions, these are real positions, as you can see. Looks like this one was posted September 23rd, 2024. Today's date is October the 16th, 2024, almost about a month out. You know, normally I would actually advise that you apply for jobs as soon as they post. And I'll get into that in just a moment. How do you kind of keep track of that and all of that? I will get into that. So Normally, I probably would not apply for this role, but for the sake of this video and example, I will apply. And also, to be fair, I mean, I would assume since the job is still listed on this company's website, which is Mercer Advisors, I believe that they're a financial services, a financial services organization. So, I would assume that they have not filled this role, which is why the position is still listed. I'm assuming, okay? Every HR manager doesn't operate the same. So there's that. So, okay, let's look at the second job post. The second job post is from a company called Vonta. I'm not sure exactly what this company does, but yeah, so anyway, this is their copywriting job description. Again, we will go over this, okay? We are going to go over both of these job descriptions and we're going to write out our resume to accommodate uh both job descriptions. Now we may have to create two resumes. As I mentioned to you, long gone are the days of copying and pasting and having this cookie cutter resume, okay? So again, the very first step when you are applying for a job, any job, but especially this job, copywriting, is you want to ensure that you first have the job post pulled up and you want to read the requirements. So, what are they requiring over at Mercer Advisors? They are requiring a bachelor's degree in marketing, English communications, journalism, or a related field. They are requiring 5 to 7 years of copywriting experience with at least 1 to 2 years in performance marketing. They are requiring familiarity with LinkedIn, Meta, Google, and other ad platforms, a strong understanding of performance marketing and email copy best practices and A/B split testing, exceptional editing and proofreading skills, experience working in a regulated industry with a compliance component, ability to create clear content from complex ideas, strong written communication, presentation, project management, and organizational skills, ability to work from a creative brief and generate new ideas, capable of thriving in a fast-paced environment, knowledge of SEO basics, proficiency in Microsoft Office, impeccable attention to detail, desire to work on a growing team and move quickly, knowledge of the AP style guide, a portfolio of content and sample ads. Okay, so this is definitely pretty lengthy, but it's understandable, right? And so you also want to look at some of the job functions. Now, before I get into the job functions, I do just want to reiterate, if you do not meet the required knowledge, skills, and abilities, I do not recommend that you apply for the job. The only way I would recommend you apply for the job is if someone told you to. Now, I will say when I worked in HR, it was illegal to hire someone who does not meet the minimal requirements, okay? And notice I'm emphasizing the word requirements. That is because a requirement is different from a desire, okay? Or there's another way that it's worded, and hopefully it'll be on the other job post. But my point is, notice here it says these are requirements. So guess what? If you don't have that bachelor's degree in marketing, English communications, journalism, or a related field, don't bother. Okay. If you don't have at least 5 to 7 years of copywriting experience with 1 to 2 years in performance marketing, don't bother. If you don't have a strong understanding of performance marketing and email copy best practices, don't bother, okay? So make sure before you even, occupy your time applying for a job, make sure you meet the requirements, the minimum requirements, okay? Now let's move on to the functions. So the essential job functions include develop engaging and effective copy for social and search ads, landing pages, and other paid marketing materials, write lead nurturing email journeys to move prospects through the funnel, collaborate with designers and cross-functional teams to ensure content aligns with brand guidelines, tone of voice, and project objectives, edit and proofread content to ensure accuracy, clarity, and consistency, manage multiple concurrent projects in a fast-paced, deadline-driven environment, rewrite existing content to align with brand voice and target audience, participate in editorial meetings to generate new ideas, interview subject matter experts to translate their knowledge into content, utilize AI and other tools to enhance workflow efficiency, stay updated on paid media platform best practices, and develop or publish content for LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google, and Instagram ads. May support with additional ad hoc copywriting needs for the content team as time permits. Okay. So let's get to the resume. So my suggestion is that you rename your resume Mercer Advisors so that you can remember that this resume was created specifically for your Mercer Advisors role. Okay. Another thing that I recommend is that you copy the domain name for this role and you want to paste it here on your simplified job search template. This is a template that you will keep. It's a Google sheet doc, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to put the name of the company, the URL that you'll use to submit your application. Now, I'm not sure if that's the same as the domain I just copied, but oh, okay. Maybe it is. No, it's not. Okay, so this is where you can start all of that. Now, obviously, ladies and gents and beautiful human beings, I will not be applying for these roles. I think that that will actually be disrespectful because there are people that really are looking for these jobs. And so I don't want to occupy that space. Okay. So I'm going to build out the resume, but I will not be submitting the application. So with that being said, you do want to copy and paste the login URL when for the application. You want to include your username, your password, the job title. So this one is copywriter performance marketing. Again, you just copy paste. You want to include that job description, right? So we're going to do this. We'll just copy. And I know it's going to look crazy. I get it. But guess what? You've got a nice organized document that you can, I'm not understanding. This is weird. There we are. Okay. So the salary for this one, I don't think it's listed here. I believe when I saw this on LinkedIn, it was like 110,000, I think 80 to 110. So if that salary is listed somewhere, you want to make sure that you make reference to that. So let me see here. I think it was like 80K to 110, I think. And then obviously you want to keep track of the outcomes. Now, why, right? What is the point of all of this? Well, it's so that you can keep track of things. When it comes to the job market, things are crazy right now. And so it's a numbers game. You want to make sure that you are applying to as many roles as possible. There are people on the internet who've applied for 500 roles and have not gotten a job offer. Even I think the craziest one I've seen was 1,000 roles. So my point is, it's a numbers game. This is how you keep track of all of the applications that you're submitting online. So that way, when they call you, which may possibly be months later, you're not on the phone confused as to who you're speaking to and what role are they referring to, okay? So just make sure you come here and you keep track of the jobs. Okay, I knew I misspelled something over here. All right, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive in. So first and foremost, of course, you want to put your name here. So you're going to put your name. And so on this resume, you can see here that it's like an adjective plus your title. Okay. Obviously, this is a template, so it's meant for you to make some changes. So the adjective that I'm going to put here is going to be seasoned copywriter, okay? And then obviously you'll put your phone number, you'll put your city, your state, your email address, right? And make sure that when you put your phone number that you include the country code. I don't know if you all noticed this, but on this job description, I think it was, no, it wasn't this one. I'm sorry. It's the other one. Okay. Well, my point is some of these companies are international, so it helps them when you are putting your country code. And if you're based in the US, that country code is +1. If you're based in South Africa, that country code is +27. If you're based in Nigeria, that country code is +234, and so on and so forth. I think I got that right. So, okay, let's come down here to this section, okay? So you'll see here that the template tells you, basically meet, and it's your name here. So meet Maria, right? And it goes, Maria is a seasoned copywriter with more than 20 years of experience in copywriting for performance marketing in the academic, financial, and e-commerce sectors. So I'm just going to pause here, okay? The point of this section is for you to provide a very quick overview of your skill sets. It's literally just a summary of your work experience, but also keeping in mind that these are the requirements, okay? So you'll notice I'm hinting to some of the requirements in the summary. Now we're going to go into more details here in the body of the resume, but I do want to just pause and make sure that you're following along as I am explaining in the summary, in the first sentence of the summary. I'm already touching on a couple of the requirements. So if you recall, one of the requirements was 5 to 7 years of experience as a copywriter with at least 1 to 2 years in performance marketing. And so here I'm mentioning, first of all, I have more than 20 years of experience in copywriting, and I'm specifically mentioning performance marketing. And then I go into detail with relation to the actual sectors. Now, it makes sense for me to put financial, and this is true. I mean, I definitely work with financial clients. So it makes sense for me to hint to the financial sector because this is a financial company, okay? So again, I've already touched on a couple of those requirements in just the first sentence of this particular job. I'm sorry, of this particular resume. So here I'm going to add her breadth of work includes, and here we're going to list some skills related to the job. So let's go back to the job post. Again, looking at those required skills, and we will see here that, you know, mentions attention to detail, growing team and moving quickly, knowledge of the AP style guide, fast-paced environment, work from a creative brief and generate new ideas, strong written communication, presentation, project management, and organizational skills, exceptional editing and proofreading skills, of course. All right. So we've got tons and tons of skills that we can pick from based on the requirements for this role, right? So I'm going to say her breadth of work includes editing, proofreading, drafting, creative briefs, and um, presenting creative concepts to senior management. Okay. So again, all of which is true. Okay. you may be, this obviously may not be your experience. I am speaking from my own experience. So please, please, please make sure that you are not fabricating here, that you are sharing your own experience. And so, again, you've got a plethora of different skills that you can pull from. I could have also mentioned the fact that I have experience with SEO. I could have mentioned my proficiency with Microsoft Office, which I will do, and you will too later on in the resume. But for now, we're just going to stick with these skills, which are very much aligned with the skills listed under the requirements. Okay. So now, just to wrap this up. So, oh, sorry. So, first name, that will be me, Maria. Currently volunteers as. Now, if you do not volunteer anywhere, do not put anything here, okay? When this template was created, I was heavily involved in a couple of organizations, volunteering my time, volunteering my expertise. And so it made sense to have the sentence. Now, I haven't really been involved with any organizations on a consistent basis, so I don't know if this sentence makes sense for me at this juncture. Technically, you could remove this part of the sentence. Um, but I think that it would be good. Again, this is just a way to kind of humanize yourself. I think it would be really good if you are a part of your church, perhaps, if you are part of any civic organizations in your community, please make sure that you keep things. Maybe I wouldn't discuss politics unless it's bipartisan, but nevertheless, my suggestion is if you are a volunteer and you want to add that here, I think that that definitely humanizes you, makes you appear to be a well-rounded person, a person who is good at building relationships, which, as you can tell from the job post, they are definitely looking for someone who's a team player. I would add that information here, okay? So for me at this juncture, I'm actually going to delete that and I'll come to the latter part of the sentence and again just humanize myself by listing some of my favorite hobbies. So I'm going to put journaling, um, copywriting. Well, maybe I shouldn't. That's kind of cheesy. I do enjoy journaling, uh, traveling, um, public speaking, which I think although I'm just listing my habits here, but I mean my hobbies, but I think that they would appreciate this considering that they are looking for someone who's comfortable and confident enough to present themselves or present their projects or ideas within a group, right? So I enjoy public speaking and I'll say, and reading, all of which are true. Now, obviously, when you list your hobbies, you don't want to put something like you enjoy shooting dice or you enjoy going to the club on the weekends, okay? You don't want to put anything here that may cause some extreme judgment. I think that what I've listed here is pretty neutral. I mean, journaling, shows a lot of that I'm into introspection and my mental health and wellness. Traveling may exude that I'm a well-rounded person. Public speaking, very confident person, and then reading, you know, creative. I mean, who knows? But my point is you don't want to put any hobbies here that could lead to some extreme judgment, like, oh my gosh, this person is possibly on drugs or this person is a wild person who can't remain professional. You just don't want extreme judgment, okay? Now, my recommendation is that you do add an image here of yourself. I know a lot of people that aren't comfortable with doing that, but I do suggest that you add an image here. Again, when you think about the perspective or the workday of an HR professional, these are people who are reviewing hundreds of resumes per day, okay? when I worked in human resources, I was reviewing a lot of resumes on a daily basis. And so the resumes that stood out for me personally, and I know that human resources unfortunately tends to be subjective in this way, but the resumes that stood out for me were those that had an image on them. Because guess what? It allowed me to humanize the person that's applying for the role. Now, someone listening to this may say, well, if I put my picture here and I'm a Black woman or I'm a Black man or I'm a Hispanic woman, Hispanic man, an Indian woman, an Indian man, et cetera, people may judge me. I may not get the job. And to that, my response to you is that that's not a company you want to work for anyway. So, hey, it's probably a good thing that that company doesn't want to, that it's probably a good thing that that HR manager looks at your picture and decides out of their own bigotry that they don't want to waste your time by interviewing you because they already know that they're looking for a certain kind of person and you don't fit the description, okay? Does it suck? Of course it does. If you can prove that people are doing this, and by all means, I think you should definitely pursue some legal action against them. But this is human nature. Again, it's a very unfortunate thing. Obviously, I'm not a fan of bigotry and discrimination of any kind, but this is the reality that we're facing. So again, I will say, if you are afraid that adding your image here means that someone will discriminate against you and not hire you for the role because they're looking for perhaps a white person to fill that role, guess what? When they get on the phone with you or when they see you in person after wasting your time doing other, phone interviews, Zoom interviews, whatever, they're still going to discriminate against you. So why not just go ahead and knock that out in the very beginning, okay? You don't even have to have your time wasted. Just get that out of the way immediately. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the little emoji here and right click and then hit replace image. You're going to obviously upload from your computer or you can upload from Google Drive. And I'm just going to put, let's see, I'm just going to add an image of myself here. I'm going to do this one. Okay. So as you can see, this is an image of myself. Now, what I've done here, you've noticed I double clicked on the image and it looks like there's another box here that's opening. What I'm going to do is just reposition myself. Okay. So when I click off of that, you'll see that the excess has erased or has disappeared rather. All right. So I'm going to click off and boom. So now my image looks more centered. Okay. So I am ready to move on to the next section. So before we dive into experience, because you probably just noticed I inhaled and exhaled, because this is where it gets real. Let's go over to education first, and then we'll come back over to experience, because again, that one's going to require a lot more effort. So remember, on the job post, they are requiring a minimum of a bachelor's degree in marketing, English, communications, journalism, or a related field. Now, if you have an associate's degree, then I don't know if it will make sense for you to apply, because sometimes with job posts, they will say, we require a bachelor's degree in et cetera, et cetera, or at least, 7 years of experience, right? And or. In this case, I don't see an and or, other than the fact that, or a related field as it relates to your degree. So my suggestion is, if you don't have at least a bachelor's degree, even if it's not in one of these, because I mean, related field is very subjective, right? So if you don't have a bachelor's degree, I don't think you should apply. If you want to shoot your shot and see what happens, go ahead, but I don't think you should apply. All right. So right here, we're going to put the years in which we were in college for that bachelor's degree. For me, that was here to here. And then I actually obtained a bachelor's degree in mass media arts, which is basically communications, okay? So bachelor's, really a B, well, do I want to put BA or do I want to spell it out? If you have a situation like this one where you notice the text is going on a different line, you have a couple of options. You can change the size of the font so that everything fits on one line, or you can just move this down to the next line and remove this, and now we have that. So name of institution for me, that would be the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. So for your education, what you would want to do here, if applicable, is you want to list information about what you learned and or any academic accolades, such as if you graduated summa cum laude or something like that. This is where you would want to put that information. Now, for me, um, I could put here that I wrote radio ad copy for two nationally syndicated radio shows or radio programs um, that reached a combined audience of 16 million people through a partnership with the Home Depot. Okay. Now, I realize this is kind of long. Um, And honestly, I may remove it. But again, I was just thinking of something relevant that I could list here. And that was one of the main things that came to mind for me. You have to decide what is relevant to you, especially as it relates to this particular role. What is relevant for you? Okay. And so then the next bullet says list any internships or specialized training. So again, I think I covered that in the first bullet point. And then the third bullet point reads, list any organizations you joined or created while you were at the institution. So I did create the Mississippi Club on campus. I don't want to list that. It's not really relevant. Well, you know what? So I think I'm gonna end it here with the academic related bullet points. And honestly, I may go back and remove some of these because I do want to keep this resume to one page. And so for me, these things, because it's been almost 20 years now, I mean, it's been 20 years since freshman year. Yeah, I might remove this, to be honest. I just don't think that this is necessary considering that it's kind of old in comparison to some of my more recent experience. So nevertheless, let's get down here to the skill summary, okay? So as you can see here, the template reads, list industry-specific software, apps, attributes, not more than 7 total. So I'm going to put here proficiency with Microsoft Office. And why am I listing that? Well, because it's listed here in the required knowledge, skills, and abilities. So proficiency in Microsoft Office. Okay. I always get this mixed up with proficiency. Um, Proficiency in we're gonna say Chat GPT, um, Gemini, and Claude. And again, folks, if you don't have a proficiency in these tools, please don't list them. But understand Microsoft Office is a required one. So you do want to make sure that you list it, but you also want to make sure that you are proficient in Microsoft Office, which I would like to think in 2024 and beyond that we are masters at Microsoft Office. Um, why am I listing these AI tools? Because if you can recall, while it's not listed as a requirement, it is listed here in the essential job functions, okay? So another thing that was mentioned was SEO. Okay. So what I'm doing here is, again, I'm listing my skills, all of which are relevant to this particular role. I don't want to do more than 7 bullet points here. In fact, that may still be a bit overkill, but I may still go for the 7 bullet points. We'll see. So the reason why I listed the proficiency with SEO tools, and I listed some of those tools here, is because if you can recall, they did mention a knowledge of SEO basics. Okay. So fortunately here, they're not really asking you to be an expert with SEO, but they are suggesting that you at least have a knowledge of the basics when it comes to SEO. Well, in my case, I'm beyond basic for sure. So I feel very comfortable putting proficiency with SEO tools and listing those tools out. Please don't put this on your resume if this is not applicable to you. Okay, so there are tons of SEO tools on the market. List the tools that you are proficient in. Do not list the ones that I've listed unless you are familiar with them. Okay, moving along. So what are some of the other requirements? I'm going to list as a skill here that a team player. So how can I word this? I'm going to say something to the extent of um team player. Um, uh, I work comfortably in a fast-paced environment. So now I've gotten 5 of these skills. Now, why did I list the work comfortably in a fast-paced environment and the team player ones? Well, if you can remember, they did mention a fast-paced environment here. And while the team part is not necessarily listed in the requirements, it's definitely mentioned in the essential job functions. So that's why I felt it's important to put that there. Another thing that they mentioned was email copy and A/B testing. So I'm going to put here experience running A/B test via email marketing. I have a wealth of experience doing that. It's literally my life. Okay, so if you're wondering why am I moving bullet points around, it's because I'm being a little anal here, honestly. Um, I like for my bullets to be flushed or my words to be flushed a certain kind of way. And so that's why you're seeing me move things around. I probably will move them around some more, but nevertheless, let me just list one more bullet point here and see if it fits. Um, so creative brief, generate new ideas, strong written communication presentation, clear content from complex ideas. I do believe that I can take a complex concept and simplify it. And I think that that's a skill set, honestly. So I'm going to say communicate complex information. No, I'm going to say that my skill is that I simplify complex information into easily digestible content. All right. So again, just this is just me being a little picky about how my bullets look, how they're organized. Um, let's see. How do I want to do this one? Okay, sorry, I'm not going to waste too much time on this. I think I am wasting time on something that's not really as important as getting it done. Okay, so I've done my 7 bullet points here. Yes, I do see that we've gone over to a second page, which I do not want 2 pages for this resume. So with that being said, I do believe that I will go ahead and delete this bullet point under my college experience. And now we're back to one page. Okay, so we have just completed our skills summary. We have completed our education. We have uploaded our picture. We've added the summary. All of these things. Now we've got to get over to the experience. Now this is where it's extremely critical that you are specific and that you add some industry related information. Okay, so the first thing, obviously on my end, I have not worked in corporate America or for any company, I guess I should say, since 2012. Okay, that was the last real job, if you will, that I had. So, because of this, for someone like myself, I think the best thing I can do is perhaps list some of the companies I've worked with. I could do that. Um, or I think maybe what I'll do is list my company and then I will just say something like freelance. Yeah, you know what? I'm talking through it aloud just so that you all can understand my thought process. But I think for most of you, this part may actually be easy because you are working for a company and you are, you're positioning yourself or you are interested in moving to another company. So this section may be easier for you. For me, I really have to think through how I want to do this because obviously, like I mentioned, I haven't worked for a company in over 10 years. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to delete the second job. I'm going to delete the second job and I'm going to focus on just my company. And my company has been in existence since 2015. So that's as of today, that is that's 9 years as of today in 2024. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put here 2015 to present. Okay. Job title. So in this case, again, just to make it more relevant to the job post itself, I'm actually going to put freelance copywriter. And I'm going to put the name of the business. Okay, so you'll notice here that you are being instructed to list quantitative or qualitative information, and it has to be industry specific, okay? So if we go back over here, we know that these folks are definitely requiring this candidate for this role to have experience with social media, that's for sure. That performance marketing experience, working with a regulated industry. So this is something that we haven't touched on. I think it's very important because I do know that the finance industry is heavily regulated. Okay. So what I'm going to put here is that I have worked with one, two, three, four. I feel like it's probably been more than that, but I'm just going to leave it at four. So, I'm going to say here, created, no, wrote a copy for, um, let's see, I'm going to say wrote email copy. Okay, you know what? Let me take it all the way back because another thing that they mentioned here was the creative brief, right? And so I do want to say that I draft creative briefs centered around client goals, centered around performance marketing goals. Now, remember, the reason why I'm using the words performance marketing is that they are very specific. Even in the job title, it's copywriter performance marketing, right? So I want to make sure that I hit on that performance marketing as often as I can where it makes sense, because I do want them to understand I have experience with performance marketing. And while I'm saying I am speaking in first person, I want you to understand that I'm really talking to you, okay? Because again, I will not be submitting this resume. I don't want to take away from qualified candidates who really are interested in working for this company. So therefore, I will not be submitting this resume. Whenever I'm speaking in first person, it's just me saying that just for the sake of simplicity. But really, I want you to think through this and how you can make your resume relevant to your experience and for this role. Okay. So I'm going to put here draft creative brief centered. Um, okay. Draft creative briefs. Um, to specify performance marketing goals for multi-channel marketing via LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I think it was another one listed here. Let's go back and see what they said. Google. Okay. We'll just leave it at this. I'm sorry, no, we'll add email because we know that email is very important for this. Okay. So another bullet point I'm going to add here is that I ensure compliance. So I'll say something, let me think how I want to word that. Let's go back to the job description. And this is another thing I want you all to get used to. You can notice I'm toggling a lot back and forth between the job description, right? You see the job description, the resume, the job description, the resume. You may have to do that, and that's okay. You may actually open two separate windows and just have the documents side by side, which is probably more efficient. So it's very normal to do that. I don't want you to think that it doesn't make sense to do it. It makes perfect sense. So just make sure that you have your tabs open and that you're ready to go back and forth if necessary. So I will do that because I need to get a little bit of inspiration about how I want to actually word what I'm trying to say, which is in relation to compliance. Okay, so it says here experience working in a regulated industry with a compliance component. So, I'm gonna say something to the effect of uh war help financial advisors maintain financial professionals. You know, I'm gonna say help independent financial professionals maintain industry specific compliance as well as federal can spam compliance for email marketing. I'm going to put here for social media marketing, as well as federal can spam compliance for email marketing. Okay. So I believe that this is the way I want to articulate this. In essence, what I'm saying is that, you know, I work with financial independent professionals, financial professionals. I'm sorry. I work with independent financial professionals and help them stay within compliance within their industry as well as within federal compliance. Uh, and actually, what I'm going to do here is put can spam GDPR, I think is what it is. Let me just check that, double check that really quickly. I always get these acronyms mixed up, but I'm almost sure that it's GDPR. Yeah. Yep. And yeah. And I don't think I need to put it for email marketing here because, I mean, maybe I should put help independent financial professionals maintain industry-specific compliance for as well as for social media and email marketing. Okay, so we'll do that. I like the way this one reads a little bit better. Um, we'll remove that excess space. So one thing I haven't done is I have not really quantified the work yet, right? I've added some qualitative things and that's great, but I actually want to quantify some of the work that I've done. So what I'll put here is that um write engaging email marketing copy that increase more than, right? So here I put write engaging email marketing copy that increases conversions by more than 45%. Um, write um, write copy for paid traffic. Gonna write persuasive copy for paid traffic or for uh hmm. Okay, so I'm just trying to think of again, I'm if I'm getting quiet, it's just because I'm trying to think of real numbers, real data that I can pull from. When you've been doing this work for 20 years, you've done so much, you've seen so much, and the truth is some of the metrics that we paid attention to 20 years ago are not relevant in 2024. And so I'm just wanting to make sure that this resume reflects current expectations, okay? So write persuasive copy for meta ads that generate um, a 5% click-through rate. And yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it at that for now, as it relates to some of the data, some of the numbers. Another thing I'm going to add here is that conduct A/B test for email subject lines to um, conduct A/B tests for email subject lines to drive more opens, clicks, and conversions. Okay. Another piece here on the email marketing side of things that I feel would be relevant is segmentation. So I'm a little surprised they didn't list anything here about segmentation, which is actually kind of strange. But that's okay. I'm going to add it here because it's important. You've got to segment your audience. So I'm going to put here, let's see. How do I want to articulate this for this particular role? segment audiences to write copy that is relevant, timely, and not persuasive because we've already used that. I'm going to say conversational, which is very true. Um, and instead of saying segment, I'm going to say establish audience segments. Okay. What else do we want to put here? Definitely want to add more about our editing skills. So I would say here, let me go back to the job description. Exceptional editing and proofreading skills, strong written communication, presentation, project management, ability to work from a creative brief and generate new ideas, knowledge of SEO basics, impeccable attention to detail, desire to work on a growing team and move quickly, portfolio of content, sample ads. Oh, that's another thing. Do advise that they are requiring a portfolio of content and sample ads. So you want to have that portfolio on hand. Okay, so if I'm being honest, I do feel like I've touched on every one of their requirements. Um, if not in the literal bullet points for the role, certainly within the skill summary and within the summary here at the very top of the resume. But I'm not finished. I'm going to add more of these bullet points. I wanted to kind of flesh out with this final bullet point on the right-hand side. So I'm going to, which one of these do I want to really focus on? So I'm going to put here, that I proofread, edit, and let's see. Maybe I should just say proofread and edit more than um I don't know. If I had to guess how much copy I'm reading per day, I mean, wow. You know, I would I feel like I could comfortably say that I am proofreading, editing, drafting even on average about maybe 5,000 words a day. I mean, I know that may sound like quite a bit for a lot of people, but when I think about it, it's probably more than that because with email, sometimes the emails can be well over 1,000 words. So I feel very comfortable saying proofread and edit more than five. And instead of saying more than, I'm gonna say an average of 5,000 words per day. Okay. Now, why am I putting this here? The point in putting this here is to prove that if you've got someone who's, proofreading and editing an average of 5,000 words per day, this person has extensive experience paying attention to detail and like really understanding the importance of good copy. So that's why I'm adding that there. I know that they didn't require a specification in terms of the number of words per day and all of that, but I think that's relevant. I think it's relevant. Um, Okay. And so there was something else I wanted to touch on here before. Oh, APIs, I'm sorry, AP style guide. And I'm going to put reference the most up to date I don't know why I keep wanting to say API, AP style guide to meet um, uh, to ensure uh, copy meets modern um, editing expectations. Okay. Now, that's a very fancy way of saying that I reference, API style, the AP style guide, which is true. I actually purchased one of the books. Of course, now it's out of styles, it's out of date because this gets updated on an annual basis, I believe. But nevertheless, I do reference the AP style guide. So yeah, I believe, and maybe I should say meets industry, um, meets industry expectation. I didn't even realize I misspelled expectations. Reference the most up-to-date AP style guide to ensure copy meets um, industry um, or you know what? Modern editing standards or current. Maybe I should say, I don't know, something about the word modern is throwing me off. So I'm going to actually stop here because I feel like this is more than enough information to share on this one-page resume. And so in order for you to download, now remember, I did say I want you to rename this resume. I want you to put your first and last name here, underscore the name of the company, underscore the name of the role. Okay. Why am I suggesting that you do that? So that way, when that company calls you and they are requesting an interview, you can pull up the actual resume that you drafted just for that company. So you can come here to File. Let's go to Download and PDF. And then that will actually allow you to have the PDF version of your resume. So as you can see here, this is the PDF version of my resume. It is one page. It is so full of information that is relevant to this particular role. And this is exactly what you want for your resume. You want a nice, clean, professional resume that very concisely explains what you do. Um, I know that there are debates and arguments about the whole one-page versus two-page resume thing. My take on it is very simple. If you're not applying for a C-suite role, which this is not a C-suite role, there really is no need for you to have more than one page. Okay, so that's just my personal opinion. Again, one of the downfalls of human resources is that um, it is very subjective sometimes. And so when it comes to recruiting, especially, it's very subjective. There are some recruiters who may be totally fine with you having 2 and 3 pages for your resume, and then others who only want a one pager. So I believe unless you are applying for a C-suite executive position, there really is no need for you to have more than one page. Okay. Everything that you need, as you can see here, we have very concisely put together a very good one-page resume. Another thing, do not forget this job does require a portfolio of content and sample ads. Perhaps that's another video I can put together, an example of your portfolio, but I think you all get you get it, how to put together a portfolio. But if you need some help with that, definitely drop that in the comments. Let me know that you want to see a video of me putting together a portfolio of content and sample ads. And then I will certainly record that video as well. So we are finished. We're finished with this job. Obviously, you would click on apply now. You would go through the process of creating an account and you will submit that resume and you will submit that the samples. So great job. That is job number one. We have our beautiful, we have our beautiful resume here. It's ready to go. Obviously, I didn't put my phone number, my city, state, nor my email address because I will not be submitting this resume, but you have a completed resume that you can submit for that role. All right. So let's move along. I'm going to click out of this. And well, since I keep going to this page, why not talk about the template? So the template that you have seen me working out of is available here at hrsnitch.com. You just click the button and it will take you here where this template and of course, this template as well, and a couple other things will only cost you $7, okay? It will cost you $7 to get this information. All of this information is digitally delivered, so you don't have to worry about some sort of like, physical copy of a resume that you have to share with another person. No, this is all digital. Okay, so let's get back to it. We now have another job that we need to apply for, Vanta. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So their requirements are not as lengthy as the other resume. So let's just look and see what they have. So again, what I mentioned to you before is that, these job descriptions vary from one company to the other, okay? When we looked at Mercer's, let's go back. So if you look at Mercer's job description, they make it very clear. The language is clear. It's required. And then they have your essential job functions. Okay. So with Vanta, these are named as your must-haves, okay, which is another word for requirement. So don't get confused there. These are still required skills that they are looking for, okay? Just because they don't use the word require doesn't mean that it's not a requirement. It is. So with Vanta, your must-haves are 5+ years of copywriting experience, ideally in B2B or software as a service, SaaS. So let's talk about this ideally. So notice with the Mercer job description, Mercer advisors, right? Yep. Mercer advisors job description. Here they have 5 to 7 years of copywriting experience with at least 1 to 2 years in performance marketing. Here in on Vanta's job description, they are saying ideally in B2B or SaaS, software as a service. Now, ideally is not a requirement. Unlike here for Mercer Advisors, they are telling you with at least 1 to 2 years in performance marketing. So this is a requirement. But ideally is a soft way of saying, hey, we kind of want you to have that experience in B2B or in SaaS. I'm sorry, B2B SaaS, but if you don't, it's okay. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that you understand that very clear distinction. Here they're saying it's ideally in B2B SaaS, whereas here with Mercer Advisors, they are telling you straight up, you got to have at least 1 to 2 years in performance marketing, copywriting for performance marketing. Excellent creative writing and thinking ability to balance witty, clever copy with clarity, readability, and accurate messaging, ability to think strategically, impeccable grammar, spelling, and punctuation. You should be borderline obsessive about proofreading. Did you catch that misspelled word above? Yes, we did. Spelling. Experience writing digital ads, including search and email, including nurture. A high level of pride in your work, but a low level of ego about it. Oh, I love this. This is cute. So Vanta has a lot of personality. Now, keep in mind with Mercer Advisors, this is a financial company. So it's heavily regulated. They can't get all cute and cool with their copy. It has to be pretty corporate. But Vanta, I'm not sure what they do. I need to look that up. Yeah, this is actually, and they said here, this is only the second ever copywriting role. Wow, that's pretty cool. So yeah, this company is very interesting. Um, yeah. So I actually think that this is really cool. That they have this kind of witty style about themselves. So you know what that means. That means that you want to get witty with your resume. Okay. So, when we talk about, when you say things like read the room and all of that kind of stuff, this is what we're talking about. You've got to read the room. When you read that job description, if you see that they're writing things like this, where they're, asking you that you catch the misspelling of the word spelling above, um, where they're saying stuff like you should have a high level of pride in your work, but a low level of ego about it. This is a brand that has personality, okay? And so you want to exude personality in your resume. So you will, in fact, need to change this up a bit. So, for the adjective and the title, so obviously I can keep the title because yeah, copywriter is very accurate and that's what the role is for. But I might want to do something cool and fun with the adjective, right? So, uh, let's see. I remember them saying that the one of the requirements is that you have to be obsessed, or you should be borderline obsessive about proofreading, right? And so I'm trying to think what adjective do I want to put here to replace the word seasoned. Something that reflects the creativity and the wittiness and the fun style of their copywriting. And so, what can I put here? I think what I could put here is, let's see. So again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is you're seeing me in real time kind of think through this, right? This wasn't rehearsed. I found these jobs on LinkedIn and went to directly to their website to see what I could find. And so if you're hearing gaps in my thinking process, feel free to fast forward during those parts, but I am recording this in real time with no practice. I wanted to just dive in and show you all step by step how I would do this. So, okay, let me do some more reading here so I can get a full understanding. So it says the day to day, you'll be focused on writing conversational, concise, confident, informative, and sparingly witty marketing copy, owning copy for digital ads and email, collaborating with cross-functional partners, following and helping to implement Vonta's voice, tone, and style guides, proofreading and QAing your own work, and occasionally the work of others. So, I'm a fan of alliteration. I don't think the word conversational is very witty per se. I may come back and change this. By the way, I meant to tell you, remember, you're creating a new resume that's strictly for this role for Vanta. So what you'll want to do is come here to File, click Make a Copy, and then rename it as such. Your first and last name, Vanta, and then the title of the role, which is copywriter. Okay. So yeah, I think that, you know, I don't know, this might be cheesy. But one thing I was thinking is because this is a witty brand, I could say your future copywriter. Um, or you know what? We can go even more corny with it. Okay. So as you can see here, I am changing the font. If I'm getting, again, some weird spacing or something like that, words are going to a second line. I don't want that. So obviously I am changing the size of the font. So again, this is something I think it's a little corny, but it's witty. I think it kind of goes with Vonta's brand. This is me not knowing anything about this company, but just from reading the job description, I do notice that they certainly are, yeah, they are definitely a witty brand, a fun brand, it seems. Take note here of the salary. So the salary ranges from 95,000 to $112,000 per year. And they have offices in San Francisco, New York City, Dublin, and Sydney, Australia. So Dublin, Ireland, and then Sydney, Australia. So don't forget here that add this to your um, you want to add this to your simplified job search template. Okay. And yeah, so you want to add that salary. Let's do that. So that way you can remember when they call you for that interview, you can be like, wait a minute. So on the job post, you guys said that this salary range is from 95 to 112. Has that changed? All right, so the job title for this role is copywriter. So we could just put that here, copywriter. And let's go ahead and copy that. Oh, about Vanta. They started in 2018. Okay. To invest the time and manpower it takes to build a solid. Okay, so they specialize in online security. Wow. This is very different for a brand of this nature. Usually when you think of like cybersecurity related companies, a lot of times they tend to be a bit rigid, don't have a lot of personality per se. I know I'm stereotyping here, so forgive me for that, you all, but I mean, that's my understanding of them. But I love that this company has managed to, yeah, they've managed to turn that around. I like that. I love that for them. Okay, so let's get back to business. So now that we've come up with the little quirky, corny thing, obviously we want to update that here. So I'm just kind of updating my summary. Excuse me. So this job description doesn't mention anything about performance marketing. Remember, it says here ideally for B2B SaaS. So I actually think I want to take this out and replace it for. So what I'm doing now is obviously, again, I'm kind of changing this resume to better fit Vanta's style of writing based on what I've read in the job description. So I am going to get a little witty here, a little quirky. It's going to be a complete 180 from the resume that we did for Mercer Advisors. So I'm going to put here years of experience in copywriting for emerging B2B SaaS brands who are sick and tired of their tech jargon going over people's heads. Mumbo jumbo. Is it mambo? I've always thought it was mumbo jumbo. Huh? Yeah, mumbo jumbo. That's what I thought. Mumbo jumbo tech jargon in writing copywriting. Oh, experience in copywriting for emerging B2B SaaS brands that are sick and tired of their mumbo jumbo of um that don't want their mumbo jumbo tech jargon to go over people's heads. Okay, so here, it's interesting though, because I'm thinking about when they said they want you to be confident but low on ego. And I'm wondering if this is high on ego, if I'm calling myself the queen of copy, right? So I don't think that's on brand. I think I'm going to come off arrogant with this. And so I want to change that actually. So instead of queen of copy, I'm going to change this to and again, you all, I am just going off the dome. I mean, I chose make it simple, just because when I think about a B2B SaaS brand, I know that oftentimes some of the things that one of the challenges that they have is when they're talking to prospects and the market at large, especially if they're talking about tech stuff, they lose a lot of people. And so I'm trying to think of ways to help the recruiter understand that I'm different in the sense that I know how to simplify things. Okay. So I'm going to put this in italics. Okay. And honestly, I think I can keep everything else the same. Let me just kind of double check more of their needs. Okay, impeccable grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Yeah, I mean, I know I didn't say impeccable or anything like that, but I mean, and so here's one thing I'll do. I'll say when she's not turning words into wealth. Okay, so maybe I could say the words are wealth copywriter. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave. So I'm gonna leave the summary as it is. I think that's good to go as it is. Um, so let's look at the experience piece. So let's go back and look at the job description. Now, I will tell you, I do think it's totally fine to get witty with the title and the adjective and the summary, but I don't think it's necessary to get witty here when we start talking about your experience and your skills. I mean, they do need to know that you know what you're talking about and what you're doing. So I wouldn't try to get funny and witty down here. Just stick to the facts and keep it moving. And with that being said, honestly, I don't think that there's much that needs to be changed. I mean, I'm just looking at the job description again. And that's the good thing about making sure that you apply for the same type of roles. There will only need to be some subtle nuances that need to change for each resume, but for the most part, all your resumes will be the same. So it's really, I strongly recommend that you just make sure that you're applying for the exact same jobs at different companies. So that way you don't have to do too many changes. Okay. So you know what? I think I've come up with my corny name. So I'm actually going to use the acronym KISS. If you're not familiar, it means keep it simple, stupid. And so I think that this makes way more sense than anything else I've said previously in terms of a witty name for myself, the KISS copywriter. I think, the keep it simple copywriter, the keep it simple, stupid copywriter is totally on brand with this company. So I think that that is it, ladies and gentlemen and beautiful human beings. I really think that we've nailed it with this one. Um, let's see. I just want to make sure that we aren't missing anything. Ability to think strategically. I wonder if I would assume that if I mentioned something to the effect, I mean, I do feel like simplify complex information to easily digestible content. Yeah, I really believe that we've hit, because if you can remember, the requirements for Mercer advisors are more extensive than the requirements for Vanta, which actually worked out for us. So we don't have to add a bunch of stuff. So I think that we can comfortably and confidently download this resume and submit it to Vanta. That's what I think. And I hope you're in agreement with me. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Obviously, you do want to proofread your resume before you send it off, especially if you're applying for a copywriting role. It's extremely important that you proofread and ensure that you are delivering a flawless presentation. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly kind of proofread the resume. If you see any errors on here, please be sure to write that in the comment section. Meet Maria. Maria is the KISS copywriter with more than 20 years of experience in copywriting for emerging B2B SaaS brands that don't want their mumbo jumbo tech jargon to go over people's heads. Her breadth of work includes editing, proofreading, drafting creative briefs, and presenting creative concepts to senior management when she's not turning words into wealth. Maria enjoys journaling, traveling, public speaking, and reading. Okay. Opens, clicks Casual Manager 24, draft creative briefs to specify performance, marketing goals for multi-channel marketing via LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and email, help independent financial professionals up. So I just noticed something. So we actually can take out this bullet point. I'm sorry, let's not take it out. So we can say, instead of help independent financial professionals, we can say maintain applicable industry-specific compliance as well as federal compliance for social media and email marketing. So this is why you always proofread before you submit your resume. Always, always, always. Write engaging email. So let's do this again. Well, you know what? We'll just read it from here. Write engaging email marketing copy that increases conversions by more than 45%. Write persuasive copy for meta ads that generate a 5% click-through rate. Conduct A/B tests for email marketing to draw more opens, clicks, and conversions. Establish audience segments to write copy that is relevant, timely, and conversational. Proofread and edit an average of 5,000 words per day. Reference the most up-to-date AP style guide to ensure copy meets current editing standards. Wrote radio ad copy for 2 nationally syndicated radio programs that reached a combined audience of 16 million people through a partnership with the Home Depot. Proficiency in Microsoft Office, proficiency in AI tools such as ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, proficiency in SEO tools such as Answer the Public, Google trends, and keywords everywhere. Experience running A/B tests via, you know what? I think this is a typo. Um, it needs to be A/B test, plural. Simplify complex information to easily digestible content, work comfortably in a fast-paced environment, team player. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have just proofread our resume. We should have proofread when we downloaded it for Mercer because I did have to make a change here in the skill summary. But we're done. We are done. So if you stayed on this entire time, kudos to you. I know this video is lengthier than most, but you did it. Okay. And so what I want to remind you of is once more, if you go to hrsnitch.com, you can get my template for the resume, which is this template here. It is an editable document, very easy to edit with Google Docs. You will also get access to this template, the simplified job search template, which will enable you to keep track of the jobs that you've applied for. You will also get a cover letter template. I know that we did not discuss the cover letter today, but there is a cover letter template that comes with the resume kit. And then there's also an e-guide that actually walks you through how to do what we're doing. That guide is here, and it literally gives you information and insights on what to do section by section. It's only 16 pages, will not take you a ton of time whatsoever to read through it, but it is very, very helpful. Okay. So, with that being said, as I always say, make sure you, once again, you leave a comment. If you are based outside of the United States or Canada and you live in a country where the conversion rate for the USD to your currency is pretty significant. So anything more than 10x the USD, let me know. I'll provide you with the coupon code, and then you and a friend can split the cost for this resume kit. I also want you to leave a comment if you want me to walk you through how to put together a portfolio for for your resume, for your creative work, more specifically for your copywriting work. Okay. So once again, make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you share this video, that you subscribe to this channel, and that you hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post new content. Always remember, content is currency and words are wealth. I will check back in with you again soon. Take care.